Hey guys, we're going to be talking about the mental and physical examination of an injured person in PIP. We all know that the patients are crazy, but under the Florida statute, the insurance company is entitled to verify that information for themselves. Just joking, but upon request of an insurance company, the claimant, the patient, shall submit to a mental or physical exam by a physician. Now, if a patient in an auto accident is not requesting any benefits from a mental health provider, obviously they don't get a mental examination, okay? Usually after an auto accident, we're talking about physical examination by a medical provider, by a doctor, okay? So, first of all, who pays for the IME? Also, what is an IME? An IME is an independent medical examination. Some people call it a CME, a compulsory medical examination. We had one doctor who did it as an IME doctor, and we asked him, hey, what is, and in a deposition, what does IME stand for? And he goes, Insurance Medical Exam. And it was like, perfect, dude, thank you, because that's exactly what this is. We didn't go to trial on that case. They settled that case. But it's actually an independent medical exam. Okay, back in the day, in personal injury cases, the judge would appoint a doctor, so they would call it a compulsory medical exam. Nowadays, the judges don't have that ability. Some guy in Miami was getting his buddies to do all the exams, and he was charging a fortune. So now it's the insurance company that always picks. But anyways, who pays for the IME, CME? I'm going to call it an IME, okay? But who pays for it? The insurance company, always. Where does the exam, oh, I'm missing an S there. Where does the exam take place? So this is interesting, okay? It takes place in the city where the patient is receiving treatment or in a location reasonably accessible, which means that's not the whole definition. It's or in any location within the city where they live. So it's where they're receiving treatment, where they live in the city, or any location within 10 miles by road. So you remember back in the day, you'd go on MapQuest, you'd print it out, and it would say driving distance, okay? So 10 miles by road of the insured's residence, as long as it's in the same county. So I've had insurance companies schedule my client for an IME 10.2 miles away, okay? By road, by driving, not, from point to point, okay? But by road, weaving through the whole city, going up and down that, all right? 10 miles by road, so 10.2 miles of driving is too much by the statute. I've had them canceled for that. And then it has to be in the same county. So I live in the city of Boca Raton. We are the southernmost city in Palm Beach County. The next county over is Broward. So Deerfield Beach is the northernmost city, right? So I've had insurance companies schedule my patient that lives in Boca in Deerfield Beach. Doesn't count. Even though it's within 10 miles, it's a different county. I don't know, it's a stupid rule if you ask me, but I guess maybe other, maybe more rural areas, maybe that's helpful for them, okay? Couple things with that. The 10.2 miles, I told you I've gotten them canceled for that. I had an insurance company schedule a patient from Boynton Beach to Port St. Lucie. Why? That's an hour and a half drive. Why? An hour drive. Why? Because they had their hitman that they wanted, who denies everybody's claim. They wanted the patient to go to him. I said, no way, that guy's an hour away. He's not going. It's not in the same county. It's Palm Beach County. If you're looking at a map, Palm Beach, Martin, and then Port St. Lucie County. So they actually had my client going through 3 different counties in one day to get to an exam. I said, that's not happening. So we talked about this. Now, can an insured withdraw their payment? So there's only 2 ways that someone can withdraw payment, the insurance company, okay? And that's one, if the patient consents. I've had a patient admit to insurance fraud. They were sweating like a dog, and they said, listen, I committed insurance fraud. There was no accident. I went out, I broke the tail light. I filed a police report. I said I was in an accident, but I wasn't. And you guys caught me, and I want to just get rid of this whole thing. And they said, listen, instead of throwing you in jail, what we're going to do is we're just going to have you sign this document that says, I withdraw my PIP benefits. The guy signed it. It was done. Then, I didn't represent that guy at the time. Then, I get a call from the guy a year later. Hey, I have a car accident case. I want to get help. I want to make money. I said, okay, let me look at your file. So I look at his file. I sent a demand letter to the PIP carrier, to the BI carrier, and they're like, this guy admitted to insurance fraud. That's how stupid people are. He tried to withdraw it. I said, that's not happening. Anyways, we walked away from that case, obviously. So if the patient consents, that would void any PIP coverage, okay? Or the insurance company can obtain a valid report, which we'll talk about the definition, a valid report by a Florida physician under the same licensing chapter, Chiro versus Chiro, MD versus MD, as the treating physician, same licensing chapter, as the treating physician whose treatment is sought to be withdrawn. So let's say I'm a chiropractor and I'm treating this patient, okay? And the insurance company sends that patient to a medical doctor. Can the medical doctor cut off treatment for a chiropractor? Now, some chiropractors are still stuck in the 1970s, and they think that a medical doctor is better than a chiropractor. Florida law makes every doctor equal. DC, MD, DO, okay? It makes them all equal. Even dentists are included in that, all right? So if there's any dentists out there, we love you too, don't get mad. But that sounded so wrong. Even dentists are included in that. So dentists are included in that. Now, a medical doctor can cut off benefits for a medical doctor. A chiropractor can cut off benefits for a chiropractor. There is no medical doctor chiropractor hierarchy in Florida, okay, with PIP. Doesn't exist. Get that out of your head, okay? Only a medical doctor can cut off an MD. They cannot cut off a chiropractor. Ocean Harbor and Windhaven seem to think that they can hire a medical doctor to cut off a DC and vice versa. Doesn't exist, okay? Likewise, only a MD can cut off an MD. A Chiro cannot cut off an MD, okay? Just so we're clear. And a DO and an MD has to be same licensing chapter, so it doesn't happen. So those are the two reasons. Now, a valid report. We said that the insurance company needs to have a valid report. Valid report means that it's prepared by and signed by the examining physician, and they allow in the statute a peer review, a review of records. That is okay as long as, so you could have a physical exam in person, you could probably do a virtual one, and then you can also do a peer review. That's allowed under the IME statute. Now, they define here active practice. The doctor must have an active practice. They have 3 ways to be active, and it has to be during the 3 years before the IME. You can treat patients, right, which everyone would assume that's an active practice. You could be disabled. There's an exception for disabled doctors to do IMEs, or they could be a teacher at an accredited university, okay? Now, the disabled thing, easy, we get that. The teacher thing, easy, we get that. Treat, oh, I treat patients. We've had IMEs where we've taken depositions and we've said, hey, how many patients do you treat? And the guy goes, like 5, that unfortunately is considered treatment under the statute. So there's guys out there that are doing these IMEs, they're cutting off everybody in your town, and they don't have an active practice that you and I would call, but the statute allows for it. It just says vaguely that they have to treat patients. They have to be actively treating patients. One guy said, oh, I treat my mother, my mother-in-law, my son, and my brother. That's 4 people. I treat them. And so that counts. And unfortunately, that does count. We brought that up in a hearing about the credibility of that guy. It attacks his credibility, right? Because most of his income is obviously derived from IMEs. Your mother, your brother, your sister, your mother-in-law, they don't pay for your treatment. So obviously we were able to bring that in as credibility evidence that the guy is not credible. He's a hired hitman. He's chasing the money, right? If State Farm pays him $100,000 a year, that's 90% of his income. So, but he was allowed his IME report was considered valid. The IME doctor must maintain the invoice that they sent to the insurance company and the report for 3 years after that IME, okay? There's some law firm in Broward that works for an insurance company that rhymes with snake harm, and they're telling all of the IME doctors, shred your IME reports and records at the 3-year mark. Just get rid of them, because then when we go to court, the plaintiff's lawyer won't find out that you have thousands of IMEs and that each one says the patient doesn't need further care, right? So there's a lawyer telling everybody to do that. And so unfortunately for that lawyer, he didn't think about the part where the doctor would be in a depot one day and we'd say, hey, is this your IME report? And he'd say, well, I don't know because I don't have a copy of it in my file. I shredded it. So I shredded it or shredded it. I don't know. We'll figure that out later. But anyways, they have to maintain it for 3 years. There's this guy on the West Coast. He's got like 6 offices. They're all the size of a closet. And he does IMEs in this city one day, in another city the other day. He's over here another day. And he does all the IMEs in town in one day, and he just rotates. He doesn't actually do anything that you would think a doctor would do besides cut off people's benefits. I don't want to name his name here because he's probably watching, but he knows who he is. That guy gave us 3 years worth of invoices to the insurance company and the reports, and every single one of them said this patient does not need further care. Okay, and most of them said that the doctor, the treating physician, was taking advantage of the patient for financial gain, which is kind of like a slap in the face when 99% of your IMEs say no further care is necessary, right? So, before we get into that, the patient is entitled to the IME report, okay? The insurance company must provide it when they request it, when the patient requests it. I want to tell you, so big distinction here with an IME doctor. An IME doctor is not a treating doctor. They should not be touching the patient they should not be adjusting your patient. They can touch as part of the exam, but they should not be adjusting your patient, doing any therapy on your patient. I've seen and heard stories where patient goes in for an IME and the doctor says, oh, you look like you're in pain. Can I give you an adjustment or can I give you some E-stim or whatever? Does that, then does the exam and cuts off the patient. We all know it's a racket, but make sure your patients know that they are not to be treated by that doctor, okay? It happens. Can the IME doctor make your patient get into a gown? No, actually they cannot. I've heard a story about an IME doctor, creeper, telling the patient, hey, I need you to get into a gown, okay? And then he's all alone with a female patient and they're in a gown and it's not really his patient. Does the patient need to fill out a bunch of paperwork at the front before they're examined? No, they don't. That's not required. If the IME doctor wants his money, they want their blood money, you tell that patient, hey, you're not signing anything other than your name. You're not filling out your address. You're not filling out your date of birth, nothing. You show up with a driver's license and you sign something that says you were there. And if you get turned away from that, that's the insurance company's problem, not the patient's. That's an easy PIP suit to win. I'm trying to think of other weird scenarios with the patient and the IME doctor. Oh, I love this part. IME doctors, I'm on film right now. IME doctors, tell your patient to bring a friend to video record the entire exam. I have many cases where the IME exam was less than 5 minutes long. 5 minutes, it's on tape. Okay, no one does a real exam in 5 minutes. Now, is that malpractice? No, because the IME doctor is a expert, hired by the insurance company to give them a report. And usually they hire doctors that are not, and I'm not criticizing, if you do IMEs, I'm not criticizing you. I'm criticizing the IME doctor who does 99 IMEs a month, and that's 99% of your business. I'm criticizing that person. If you do 5 IMEs a year, 5 a month, I'm not criticizing you. If you make 10% of your money from IMEs, I'm not criticizing you in this video. I'm criticizing the person that makes 90% of their income from doing IMEs. You know who you are. There's like 5 of you in the state. But anyways, I'm gonna get a lot of angry parts about this video, but don't be mad at me. So the IME doctor, the video, 5 minutes, they're an expert hired by the insurance company. They're not a doctor. They should not be diagnosing the patient. They should not be giving the patient medical advice. They should not be treating the patient. Can they touch the patient to see it where it's tender, where it's sore? Absolutely, it's part of the exam. But that patient does not need to cooperate other than to be there, do the exams, show their identification, and that's it. They do not need to fill out 5 pages of documents at the doctor's office because that's not their doctor. So they don't have to give them that information, all right? It is an adversarial proceeding, so it's a legal proceeding. So I'm not saying anyone should be combative at an IME. I'm saying that it's a legal matter. So the patient's entitled to be videotaped. Now, some IME doctors say, I need a licensed videographer. There's no such thing as a licensed videographer. In the United States and the rest of the world, everybody has a cell phone. I got one of them right here. This is my cool case, if you could see it. It's my friend's dog. He got it for me as a gift. Anyways, anyone can videotape. Anyone can video record. Should they interfere with the IME? No. They should just turn on the video, stand there and record and document it, and then send it to the lawyer or the treating physician so they have a copy for their records so it doesn't get lost in the sauce. Anyone can videotape. Can you have an attorney present? Yeah, you can have an attorney present. Can a friend be present to videotape? Yes, anyone can do the videotaping. They don't need a license. They don't need to be hired. Now, if you're an IME doctor, you're going to love me for this part. You're going to kiss my feet when you see me. You're going to say, Abe, thank you for the advice, okay? If you're an IME doctor, you can charge more to be on camera, right? Oh, hey, man, I'm not as good looking as Abe. I got to get paid extra money to be on video. You can ask the insurance company for more money to be on camera, okay? What I've seen is 9 times out of 10, when I send a letter to the insurance company, hey, I'm going to videotape this IME, guess what happens? Guess, it gets canceled because the IME doctor's like, I don't want to be on camera on YouTube. Forget about that. Always your patient, if you're the treating physician, your patient can send a letter. I'm letting you know I'm going to have my friend video record me, and there's no law. Show me the law that says I cannot videotape the IME. Show it to me. Otherwise, I'm going to be there with a video camera. My phone is fine. Just make sure it's on airplane mode so you're not paused and interrupted with a phone call. Trying to think what else there is out there. I think that's it. If there's anything else, we'll add it about IMEs probably in a special section. Thanks for tuning in.